Hidden on the tips of every finger is a pattern so familiar that it is often taken for granted. Yet, it is so unique that no two people have ever been found to share the exact same one. Fingerprints have helped solve crimes, unlock smartphones, and identify people for more than a century. What makes them even more remarkable is that they barely change throughout an entire lifetime. From the moment they fully develop before birth until the final days of life, the same ridges and swirls remain. But skin is constantly shedding, cuts heal, and the human body changes with age. So why do fingerprints stay the same when almost everything else about the body changes? The story of fingerprints begins long before a baby's first breath. Around the 10th week of pregnancy, tiny ridges start forming on the developing fingertips. By roughly the 17th week, these intricate patterns are already complete. Surprisingly, genes are only part of the reason they look the way they do. As the fetus grows inside the womb, countless tiny factors influence the final pattern. The exact position of the baby, the pressure against the surrounding tissues, and the movement of amniotic fluid all play a role. These microscopic variations are impossible to recreate perfectly, which is why even identical twins, who share the same DNA, have different fingerprints. Once these ridges are fully formed, the blueprint becomes permanently embedded within the skin. From that point onward, the pattern is essentially locked in place. At first glance, fingerprints seem to exist only on the surface of the skin. In reality, their secret lies much deeper. Human skin consists of several layers. The outer layer, called the epidermis, is constantly renewing itself. Every few weeks, old skin cells die and are replaced by new ones. If fingerprints only existed there, they would disappear with every cycle of shedding. Instead, the pattern is anchored in the deeper layer known as the dermis. Between these layers sits a series of tiny structures called dermal papillae. These microscopic formations act like a mold, guiding new skin cells as they grow upward. Every new layer of skin follows the same template, recreating the exact ridges again and again. It is similar to building the same house over and over, using the same foundation. Even if the roof or walls are replaced, the structure keeps returning to the same shape. Hands are constantly exposed to scrapes, cuts, and friction. Yet, fingerprints usually survive without any permanent changes. That's because most injuries only affect the outer skin, while the deeper blueprint stays protected. As the skin heals, the original pattern naturally returns. Only deep wounds that damage the dermal papillae can permanently alter a fingerprint. Even then, the resulting scar becomes part of the fingerprint itself. One of the most fascinating aspects of fingerprints is how they grow with the body. A newborn's fingertips are tiny compared to an adult's, yet the pattern itself remains exactly the same. The ridges simply spread farther apart as the fingers become larger. Imagine drawing a design on a balloon and then inflating it. The picture becomes bigger, but the design itself does not change. This remarkable consistency allows fingerprints taken during childhood to still match the same person decades later. Modern fingerprint recognition systems account for differences in size. Even as skin becomes less elastic with age, these defining features remain in the same relative positions, making fingerprints one of the most reliable methods of long-term identification. Throughout history, some people have tried to erase or alter their fingerprints. Some have sanded their fingertips, burned them with chemicals, or even undergone surgery. Most of these efforts fail because the deeper blueprint remains intact. The skin usually heals by recreating the original pattern. In some cases, the attempts only leave unusual scars that make the fingerprints even more distinctive. Only injuries or surgeries that completely destroy the underlying structures can permanently change the ridges. In practice, permanently removing fingerprints is far more complicated than movies often suggest. Because fingerprints stay consistent for life, they have become one of the most reliable ways to identify people. Experts compare tiny ridge details rather than just the overall pattern, making each fingerprint incredibly unique. Today, fingerprints are used to unlock devices, verify identities, and assist criminal investigations. Their lasting stability makes them one of the most dependable forms of identification ever discovered. Fingerprints are one of nature's quiet masterpieces. They begin forming before birth through a combination of genetics and tiny environmental influences. Then they remain anchored by structures hidden beneath the skin. Even though the outer layers are constantly replaced, the deeper blueprint faithfully recreates the same ridges throughout life. Everyday cuts heal without changing them, and severe injuries merely add distinctive scars. In a body that is constantly changing, fingerprints stand as one of the few features that remain almost exactly the same.